I've been in the danger zone.
Hello, you beautiful bastards, and welcome to episode 18 of the Danger Zone podcast. I am your host, Daniel Kelly, and I'm joined by a true podcasting great. Some are calling him the most naturally gifted newsreader the internet has ever seen, the likes of which we may never see again. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Ipswich Dan.
Hello.
And that idiot Ryan.
Where did that come from? Have I raped your family or something since we last spoke?
Not recently, but
I'll
never forget the first time you did it. We begin this week by having a brief chat about the goings-on at WWE Extreme Rules, which took place last Sunday night. We're going to go in the running order, and the first match of the evening was Chris Jericho versus Fandango.
Yes, and Jericho got the win here. Some of us were surprised by this, especially with a push of Fandango, but I suppose Jericho's got his win back here. And he won by hitting the code breaker on Fandango as he jumped from the top rope. So yeah, what do we think of this?
I love the way the first match of the show on Extreme Rules was just a normal match where nothing extreme happened.
Yeah.
But it was better than WrestleMania, I would say, between the two, but I just don't think they gel together particularly well, to be honest. It's got no sort of rewatchable appeal for me. It's instantly forgettable. As soon as it ended, it was completely irrelevant to me.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good sum up of it, really. It's just nothing at all worthwhile. Before we did this, I struggled to remember what the actual opener was. That kind of sums it up pretty well. And I mean, it doesn't bode well for Fandango if he's having pretty poor matches with Jericho. I mean, Jericho weren't exactly performing great in these couple of matches with him, but I mean, it's not good enough, really. I mean, these are got to be poor matches by his standard. He can't be pleased, and so yeah, Johnny Curtis, it's not really working. I don't think. I mean, he's good in the role, in the gimmick, but I don't know. There's severe question marks being raised. Really, but there we go. I mean, he's not exactly really over still. So I don't know.
Talking to being over, I must admit, Jericho is phenomenally over at the moment. The crowd reactions he's getting the past couple of months, well, to me, have been incredible. I can't remember him getting such big reactions throughout his whole career. Well, at least going back 10 years or so. So yeah,
it is weird considering he's probably in the least interesting stage character kind of at the moment. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, since he came back in 2012, he had the feud with Punk, which was good in places and bad in other places, and I don't think the big match at Mania didn't deliver. And ever since then, saying that, he had a good match at Extreme Rules last year, but ever since then, I think his returns have been a complete non-entity.
Yeah.
Second match of the evening, which in my opinion was a lot better, was Dean Ambrose versus Kofi Kingston for the US title.
Yeah, and Ambrose won the United States Championship here. Not to anyone's surprise, I don't think. And Ambrose won with his headlock driver. I thought this was a very spirited little match. Really, really enjoyable. The kind of length of it did kind of make it feel just like a TV match, which is unfortunate. They had a lot to pack in, I expect, on this show, and then they had a lot of... they had some backstage segments or some stuff going on. I mean, the usual, recaps and things where, 8 matches, you're not gonna get many long ones, or even on the undercard, they're gonna be pretty short. But I mean, for what it was, very enjoyable.
Yeah, I agree. I think I thought a big shout here to Kofi Kingston. I'm not his biggest fan, but I thought he played the sort of valiant babyface very well in this match. I think the finish of him trying to win the match fairly instead of just taking the count-out victory, I thought that was a nice little touch, which which sort of it helped Ambrose because he still beat him cleanly, but it helped Kingston thinking like, he could have beat him if he wouldn't have been such a fair bastard.
Yeah.
What do you reckon, Dan?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I enjoyed the match as a whole. I thought it came off really well. I thought it also helped during the Shield, Dean Ambrose's entrance, that the other two members actually turned away, and I thought that actually gave Dean Ambrose more credibility that he could go on as a singles competitor to some people who wouldn't have seen him previously, like in the independents or anything, who would just believe possibly that he'd rely on the 3-on-1 tactics with the Shield. I thought it gave him more credibility as a singles competitor, so I thought the whole thing came off really well. I enjoyed it.
I agree. I think the US title around Ambrose's waist will give the belt a lot of credibility, and I think the belt will help Ambrose as well. So it's win-win for everyone there.
Apart from Kofi.
Well, yeah, but who cares about Kofi? Third match, which I suspect Ryan won't like quite as much, was Sheamus and Mark Henry in a strap match.
Well, you'd be correct there. I thought this was absolutely terrible. Just nothing of any worth here. Sheamus, of course, won. He touched 3 of the turnbuckles, and then Henry picked him up, but then Sheamus managed to escape and then kicked Mark Henry, and then he touched the last corner. They had similar spots like this during the match where when there was interference, then the lights went out and you had to start again. So I don't know why this time Sheamus was fine to then, after about a minute, get the 4th one after he'd actually interacted with Henry. So it didn't really make any sense. But in a shit match like that, I suppose that's pretty appropriate.
Yeah, and what didn't make sense to me also was when Sheamus countered Henry to touch the last pad. He was nearer to the turnbuckle to touch it than he was to turn around and kick Mark Henry. So
yeah.
I know that's logic and stuff like that happens all the time in wrestling, but it doesn't help the disbelief suspension. I'd have thought that they'd have tried to use the strap as a weapon a little bit more, because it wasn't going to be a particularly great match, just one-on-one, and I thought the strap could have maybe added an extra dimension to it, but it wasn't used at all, was it, as a weapon?
No, I guess not. Yeah, surprising. But I think this is time to get rid of Henry. He is just useless. I mean,
get rid of Henry?
Oh, he's fucking useless. Look at him. He's just absolute state. Just can't stand it anymore.
They reckon he's coming back as a face, don't they?
Oh, fuck that. At least he probably won't be anywhere near the top of the card like that. So fine with that. But I mean, look what happened in his last one. He was with MVP or something, and he was just shit. He was jobbing to people all the time. So he's just get rid of him. He don't deserve to be there. I mean, how many more chances does he want? I mean, it's just get rid of him. Had enough.
Swiftly moving on. The 4th match of the evening was Alberto Del Rio versus Jack Swagger in an I Quit match for the number 1 contendership.
Yeah, this was another stupid one for me. Alberto Del Rio won this, but Swagger looked to have originally won when Ricardo almost threw in the towel while Del Rio was in the Patriot lock. Zeb, however, stole the towel and threw it in himself, leading the ref to think that Ricardo had done it, and awarded Swagger the match. After another ref came down and told the ref of his mistake, and they watched a replay of what really happened, the match was restarted, and almost immediately Del Rio made Swagger say I quit in his cross arm breaker. So I mean, it's another one of these restarted matches which has never been any good to begin with. Kills a match. Not that this was that great anyway, especially for an I Quit match. It was pretty, just didn't seem like...
There wasn't really any cool spots, was there? There's nothing interesting.
No. So, yeah, just thumbs down again. Just not good.
Yeah, I agree. Anything to add, Dan? Or
not really. It was a pretty poor I Quit match, really. I Quit matches are normally a lot better than that, but I think obviously the false finish with the instant replay just gave the win away to Del Rio, really. So, yeah.
I just don't get why they chose to use that in kayfabe terms, chose to use the replay just this time. If they've had that technology to use it, why hasn't it been done in the past?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, why aren't, whenever there's a tiny bit of interference, why aren't people coming down all the time, like you say? Just, stupid, really. And it's like, we talked about this before, about these kind of finishes where they're restarted. They're just doing it for the sake of doing it. I mean, it's not like, it doesn't look like they're even going in any direction where Swagger's saying, well, look, I originally won this match and then it wasn't fair that it was restarted. I'd already won it. They don't even seem to be going down that angle at all. It seems to be finished between Del Rio and Swagger now, which is good, I guess, but it doesn't make any sense. If I think people are going to enjoy a match more because of that, then they're just so wrong. It just, it made a bad. Well, I suppose it's not weren't bad. It was an unspectacular match again. Worse, it made it worse, kind of thing. So silly.
Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins of the Shield versus Team Hell No for the tag team titles was the 5th match, and one that I thought was possibly pushing match of the night.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Match of the night for me too. The Shield, of course, won the belts. Reigns pinned Bryan after they executed a double team move, which was an Argentina backbreaker combination with a top rope knee drop kind of thing, which looked very good. But yeah, very exciting match here. Rollins and Bryan in particular looked really good. And yeah, I mean, pretty good. Again, it was short, but I mean, for the time they were given, this was, about as good as you can get. And it was the tornado stipulation was quite nice as well. That made it pretty more action packed. So yeah, very very happy with this, and no problems with the title change.
No, I agree. I think the only criticism of the match I would say was it was a little bit too short, like you said. I think given 5 or 7 minutes, they could have really stole the show. And I think if that was the case, it could have been as good as their Raw match the next night, which I would say was probably a little bit better than the pay-per-view match. But yeah, it was still very good and definitely match of the night for me.
Yeah, I'd agree with all the points made by you two. I really enjoyed the match. Thought it came off really well. The 4 guys really work well together, as seen past few months. Well, I believe they do anyway. The title change is correct, really. I think going forward, the Shield with all 3 titles would look really good. Yeah, I really enjoyed it and thought it came off really well.
And it gets belts off Team Hell No as well, which leads to a lot more possibilities between them two and where they go in the future. So. Definitely. Good things all round. Next match was Randy Orton versus Big Show, and I thought it was a lot better than what I originally thought it would be.
Yeah, and this was an Extreme Rules match, which Orton, of course, won, and he brought back the punt kick for it, which was pretty crazy to see, especially as it was apparently banned, but there you go. They obviously don't care that much about Big Show's health. So, yeah, this was... especially the closing segments was very exciting, and I suppose massive props must go to Orton for this. I think he was the reason this match was so good. I think his performance in particular was excellent. Just how he was reacting and how he got the crowd to whip him up in such a frenzy and things like that. And yeah, the ending just really good. Where he hits an RKO, and then punted Big Show in his big baldy head. So, and it looked great. That was a good.
Yeah, it looked good. I like the way they go to a slow mo to really emphasise the point.
Yeah,
sorry, go on.
I wrote about this on Twitter, but I think Orton is grossly underrated by a lot of wrestling fans, especially the more smarky ones. He's overwritten, so much. And he is good in the ring, especially for just someone who's a WWE wrestler, not really been on the indies or abroad or things like that. He doesn't. People say his character is boring, but I think he's a lot more interesting than the general WWE baby faces like Miz, Sheamus. I much prefer him. It seems. I don't know. I'm not sure if a lot of people don't like him because his good-looking man or whatever. It's kind of Shawn Michaels effect from the mid-90s kind of time, something like that. But no, he isn't. But I mean, his character that's what his character's always kind of been like. So I see what people say, but I think for the role he's being asked to do at the moment, he's doing extraordinarily well. And you got, even though I'm not like a massive fan, I'm never gonna be crazy about him. I do recognise how talented he is. So yeah, I think he gets bad rap really.
And hopefully this leads to the long-awaited heel turn as well.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're WWE, it's probably not a good idea to turn him, because other than Cena, he's probably their only other strong babyface. I mean, so you can see why they wouldn't do. It's when he's getting these kind of reactions, you can understand them not turning him, to be honest. So.
I think if they don't turn him, they need to do something serious with him. I think he's been treading water for 2 years now. And if they're not going to turn him, they need to push him in the main event like they used to do. And if they are going to turn him, they're just going to have to do it. Because it seems to me like they haven't really had the guts to turn him, but they don't know what to do with him as a babyface. So something's got to give somewhere for me.
Yeah.
Ipswich Dan?
Yeah, I'd echo all your points there again. I really enjoyed the match. Orton came off really well. He just works the crowd up, and they work him up really well. It just goes hand in hand, really. The Punk kick was surprising. I wonder if it's just a one-off thing, possibly because it's Extreme Rules, and maybe just to go in line with the gimmick of the whole being an Extreme pay-per-view, but we'll see. But I was certainly interested to see it come back. I didn't expect it, especially the finish. But yeah, I enjoyed the match overall, and yeah, Orton, props for Orton.
Just a quick final point on Orton. I take it we've all seen the Payback promo video that aired during Extreme Rules. I thought that was absolutely incredible. I think that's the best WWE promo hype video for a pay-per-view I've seen for a long while. I thought with Orton sort of playing on the voices in his head, I thought it was really well done.
Yeah, it was definitely very good, yeah.
Moving on to the semi-main event of the evening, which was John Cena defending the title against Ryback, and it's a match that didn't go down too well with Ryan, I suspect.
No, well, we were actually watching it together, and I was not happy. This, of course, was the last man standing match, and it went to a no contest when Ryback ran Cena through the set, and the match was stopped as both men couldn't continue. Although Ryback did get carried out a little while later, so I don't know why the match had to stop, but it didn't make much sense again. But thank God Ryback isn't the champion, if that was the case. But yeah, well, plainly I thought this was pretty shit, and I was shocked to see that people, I don't know, I saw just some feedback on the internet, and some people actually considered this the match of the night, and I don't understand how people got to that conclusion. This was, first of all, it made no sense from a psychology perspective, because Ryback had injured Cena had already had his injured heel, or Achilles tendon, whatever, and then Ryback the previous week had hit it with a steel chair. He did not do one move to it in the match, which seems pretty stupid. If you intentionally re-injure a guy's injury, and then you do not follow up on it, especially in a last man standing match where you'd have to just take it out and he wouldn't be able to stand. So it didn't make any sense at all. Baffling. All this was Ryback doing one move to Cena and then waiting for a 10 count. This happened early on in the match, and this is all that happened. I thought this was a pitiful effort, if I'm honest. And I've praised Cena in recent months for good matches and things, but he did nothing in this match that was anything good. So yeah, pile of shit for me. This not what I want to see. It's just
as you say, I watched it with you, and at the time I did echo your sentiments. After a repeat viewing, I still echo your sentiments, but it was a little bit better on a second viewing. I've got to be honest. I think it was a lot more bearable anyway. I don't know if I'd say better, but I didn't mind the match, but to me the finish was pathetic. And the main annoyance for me was the commentators being completely pathetic as well, saying, going all Owen Hart style on us and just being silent and like someone had died, and that's not needed, because things like that should be reserved for when someone is seriously injured. And Jerry Lawler, my favourite, Jerry Lawler's line of it being worse than when Foley flew off the cell.
Well, he didn't quite say that. He said it was apt that the fans were chanting for Foley, didn't he? He said, but I think that's more crazy than anything Foley's done, or something like that, which is just the most ignorant, shitty, bastard-like thing you could say.
Whoever fed that to him through his headset should be sacked.
Oh, he probably said it himself because he's a fucking idiot.
Nonce. Oh.
But, maybe he was fed it, and if that's not the case, I still want to have a go at him because he's a prat and he's useless on commentary now. So, fuck him. But, yeah, whoever, if he come up with that or if someone fed it to him, just the biggest fucking idiot in the world. So, let's face it, it was either Vince or Jerry thought of it himself, so... But, they're both pretty stupid, in my opinion, anyway, so there we go.
Ipswich Dan, anything to add, or did you...
Yeah, I'd agree with both of you there again. It was pretty... They went with the lazy route at the ending, I think. That was a terrible ending, and they could have done a lot more, which would have kind of saved the match, really, but in the end they went down the lazy route. Didn't help with Charles Robinson's reaction, and then him selling it on Twitter again, being all shocked and everything, so it was just a terrible, trashy ending, really, and didn't help the match or didn't help the feud or anything, really. I didn't enjoy it.
It just wasn't even impressive. I mean,
no, yeah.
It's just there's a little wall they've just gone through. I mean, I don't know. I think the crowd there seemed impressed by it, or the vast majority. I don't know why. It was just, they've gone through a thin wall. And I mean...
Say the crowd seemed impressed by it. I think there was a reason they were chanting Foley. Which,
yeah, maybe, yeah.
It could be looked at as a tribute to the extremeness of the spot, or it could be looked at as, that was shit. We're talking about this man doing some extreme stuff.
I think it was just because he was up in the pre-show booth. So they probably just started looking at him.
Maybe he was giving Wade Barrett a lap dance or something.
Yeah.
There's not really much to add after that, is there, really?
No. Well, let's hope the next match will be better. But, we'll go into that in a bit.
Main event was the steel cage match between Brock Lesnar and Triple H.
Yeah, and Lesnar won this. Pinned him after Heyman gave Triple H a low blow. Then Lesnar hits him with a sledgehammer and follows it with the winning F5. I suppose this wasn't a bad match. It was solid, but that's not good enough in my opinion. It wasn't a bad match, like I said, but I won't really remember this match. I still think their SummerSlam match was the best of the three, and even that wasn't a classic. So yeah, again, disappointed. Wasn't really a worthy main event for what this was. I suppose it was a lot better than the previous match, so I suppose it was better that it went on last, but didn't seem that brutal or anything like that. And the worst thing of all, of course, was how both Triple H and Lesnar were booked. Triple H was made to look like how they should be making Brock Lesnar look, which Heyman interfered 3 times in that match. And like saved Lesnar, well then 3 times. That is pathetic. I don't care what anyone says. That you can't do that when you got Brock Lesnar. How can you go forward with him like this? It's just he doesn't seem like you can. Just his crowd reactions. People don't buy him much now because Triple H is making him seem not worth that much. They've really dropped the ball on this one. It's not good enough, and it's Triple H again not getting his ego in the way and just making sure he looks good even in defeat. So yeah, we'll talk about that more later again. But like I said, it was okay, but that's not good enough.
I'm glad that the feud has ended because I think Lesnar's stock has plummeted since. Probably the build up to Mania, I would say, and obviously the loss of Mania completely threw it through the floor. There, that's hard to say, that one. But I think Lesnar deserves some credit for the way he sold his leg, which was, it was very good, and he sort of shoot John Cena how it's done, show vulnerability, but he shouldn't have been in the position to show the vulnerability in the first place, I don't think.
Exactly. It's he shouldn't have been booked to look like that, like someone screaming. Yeah, he did a brilliant job selling the leg. He was probably instructed to do that, and he did what he was told. But he shouldn't have been doing that. It's like, it's not. It's just Triple H. He's got the first match that was booked fine. The SummerSlam one, fine. But then since then, Triple H is obviously, not wanting to look like that anymore or something. So, I don't know. Triple H makes me angry. I get sick of him. And he's a part-timer, for God's sake.
Dan?
Yeah, I'd agree again. I thought it was I actually quite enjoyed the match. It was quite a nice sort of ending to the feud. I wouldn't really say nice on an extreme sort of pay-per-view, but yeah, I thought it was a fairly solid ending to the feud, which has gone on nearly a year now. I'd echo the sentiment to that Brock Lesnar and his leg selling it. I thought that came off quite well. But yeah, I'm quite glad the feud finally ended.
So then, final ratings. Out of 10, I would say a 5 out of 10. I thought this show was bang average. I thought 2 matches were decent, but not brilliant, and the rest was completely forgettable. If we were doing star ratings, I would have no match approaching 4 stars. Put it that way.
Yeah. I would go for the Bret Hart special, which is of course 4 out of 10. The action on offer may have been enough to get a 5, but because of the booking of the main event and Del Rio match, especially, it's getting a 4 from me.
And I'd go with a 5. I don't think I'd go as low as a 4, but that was really average, really, really average, even for a B-level pay-per-view. So yeah, I'd just go 5. No, nothing more.
There we have it then. So an average score of 5 out of 10. That's not really recommended, I would say.
No.
I think Ryan needs to do some raw shit.
Raw shit, 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 raw shit. Ryan Palmer's raw shit, this is Ryan Palmer's raw shit, this is Ryan Palmer's raw shit, this is Ryan Palmer's raw shit, Ryan Palmer's raw shit.
So the night after Extreme Rules, we of course had Raw, and this was a fairly eventful show. We'll start off with Paul Heyman, and he had put out on Twitter that he was going to be introducing a third person in his stable, and he came to the ring at the 1 hour point of the show and revealed that Curtis Axel was his new associate, who was of course the former Michael McGillicuddy. There was a lot of talk on the internet and Twitter and everything like that about who this could be. First of all, who did you? I'd be surprised if any of you thought it would be Michael McGillicuddy.
I mean, I know the company are high on him backstage, but I didn't think they were this high on him.
Yeah, my gut feeling was it would be someone. It wasn't going to be like Orton or, David Otunga, or anyone who's already on the main roster. So it seemed I thought it would be someone from NXT. My hope was it'd be someone like Cassius Ohno, or I thought they might go with Corey Graves, but I suppose that wouldn't have really worked because he's kind of seen as a loner kind of guy. So it was, and I didn't really see them doing it with Cassius Ohno because I don't think they would be. Unfortunately, I don't think they're like high enough on him to put him up there. So it was kind of a head scratcher. I mean, some people thought it was going to be RVD, which I'm glad it wasn't, to be honest. That would not have worked at all, and I don't give a shit about RVD anymore. Fuck him. So yeah, I mean, it makes sense to me that they went with Michael McGillicuddy. I'll refer to him now as Curtis Axel, because it's a guy that, like, say, I don't know, had it been Cassius Ohno or something, it'd been good, but he's probably got a better chance of getting over on his own Well, no, he would have done well with Heyman, but like someone like Curtis Axel, he would really will benefit from this. I think. I think this is his best chance to be someone, and possibly his only chance to be someone now. So I think it was a smart move on their point to put him with Heyman. He's not the greatest talker, especially on the fly. He kind of proved on NXT. What was it, season 2?
The genesis of McGillicuddy.
Yeah,
That's a classic promo.
why are you wearing that outfit? Are you going swimming or something? I think he said to Caval, low key. So I think this is his chance now. Obviously, if he doesn't, this is his best chance and his only chance now. I think of making that. I think if he doesn't, isn't made a star out of this, then that'll be it for him. I don't. So yeah, smart on their point. Weren't expecting it. On my notes, I see in capitals I'd put when it was announced it was him, for fuck's sake. But on reflection, it is a good move by them, I guess. I mean, I wanted it to be Daniel Bryan, but he will, especially if they're going forward with him as a babyface. I think he doesn't really need to be with Heyman, so he's over enough and he's talented enough to do it on his own. So yeah, not complaining about it.
I agree. I think it needs a chance to run. I don't think you can judge it until maybe 2 or 3 months down the line and see how far he's advanced or what lack of advancement is seen. But I think under Heyman, he's got every chance of succeeding.
Yeah. And so in this segment, Triple H interrupted, comes out and cuts a promo on Heyman, and when Axel gets in his face, he challenges him to a match and says when he's beat him, he's then going to kick the crap out of Heyman. This leads us on to the main event, which was Triple H versus Curtis Axel, but it ended in a no contest when Triple H couldn't carry on due to AIDS, I think. But of course it was due to the after effects of his match with Lesnar, where he hadn't been cleared to have this match. I think they said this since come out that the storyline that it's a concussion. Now, I have pretty strong points of view on this, but we'll let you guys speak about it first.
I'm not completely against it, but I would like to have seen, if they were going to go down the route of Triple H having a concussion, I would have liked to have seen them gone down the route of Axel completely battering his head before he sold the concussion. He didn't. He got 2 or 3 punches or kicks to the jaw, and then he just sort of flopped to the outside and threw some water over himself. It didn't make Axel look as strong as it could have done. It could very easily have made him look a lot stronger, put it that way.
Especially on his debut night as well. That could have really set a standing for Axel going forward.
I agree. I can see why people are complaining that he didn't win, but what in reality did Michael McGillicuddy really have a chance of beating Triple H? What reason would you have had to have believed in that anyway, apart from the concussion?
Well, I mean, I think that's perfect opportunity to do it. I don't see why they'd bother doing this, coming up with this storyline, if it wasn't for Curtis Axel to get a realistic win over Triple H. So what is Triple H going to do now? We're just going to have a little storyline about poor little Triple H and his concussion.
I'd like to think they'll play on the fact that Curtis Axel gave him the concussion.
But he didn't.
Anyway.
He barely put a finger on him. I mean, it was... And this isn't about Curtis Axel, because as soon as Triple H started acting like that, we never saw him on camera again. He simply vanished from the ring. And you came out of Raw, the tension should have been on Axel. This was a chance to create a new star instantly, even if it was, he got a win over Triple H where he just got, he was so injured, that's why he lost, but that's still pretty big. Everyone would be thinking, well, we've got to pay attention to this guy if he's just beaten Triple H, regardless of the consequences. Instead, Triple H's fucking ego, he has to be the centre of attention, all the attention on him, and this guy is pushed to the side. I don't know, but some people don't think bad about it, but I think very strongly about it. This is the guy who's kind of spearheading the future talent. And he's doing a great job in NXT and things like that and the development, but on Raw, he's pushing himself in as the main thing above everything else. I mean, that is hypocritical. And this is a guy he is high of. He's got this position because of Triple H, but he doesn't think enough of him and give him the best start possible to give him that. It's not right. It's just egos and stuff like that. It's just, yeah, I don't know. It just really pisses me off that you get stuff like this.
On a lighter note, do you think they changed Curtis Axel's name from Kurt Axel because it sounded too much like Kurt Angle?
Possibly. I mean, I suppose that's the only reason why they might have.
I saw Kurt Axel was on his Titantron, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So, it was obviously quite a late change.
Yeah. It's not a great name to begin with, to be honest.
Well, I think it makes sense because of the history in the name. I think they sort of realised that it was quite another shit name from McGillicuddy, and they had to sort of explain why that was his name.
Yeah, it's certainly an improvement, but the Axel part doesn't really work for me.
I'd have liked to have been called Axel Curtis. That's a lot more badass, I think.
Or Axel Hennig, or something like that would have been much better. Or, I don't know, I think the Hennig, they should have kept that. Even they give him, I don't know, they can call him Dorothy Hennig for all I care, but I mean, Hennig would have been good. But yeah, so...
Do you think it'll lead to a pay-per-view match between Triple H and Axel, which then potentially could be a route to give Axel a win over Triple H?
No.
You don't think so?
No, I think, what I've read is, it's all rumour, but what they're leading towards is Stephanie and Vince, saying you can't wrestle anymore, Triple H, stuff like that. So basically we're looking at Rocky 5 here, with Triple H as Rocky. So
it'll end with him knocking Tommy Gunn out on the bonnet of a car, will it?
I hope so. That'd be alright. But yeah, so I don't know. I think this was just a way to distance themselves from Heyman and everyone like that. So I don't foresee them having any more interaction because Axel kind of vanished at the end. It was no longer about Triple H, Heyman, Triple H, Axel. It was just about Triple H. So yeah, I wouldn't have thought so.
Yeah, it's just your raw shit, so you can have the final word.
Okay. Well, unless anyone have anything else to add on that?
No, I think I've said all I want to say. I can see where you're coming from, but I'm not as strongly outraged as you are.
Yeah, well, it's quite easy to be outraged by WWE, so yeah. Okay, let's move on to happier things and stuff I will be pleased about talking about, and that is the Shield, who beat Team Hell No and Kofi Kingston in, I am going to say, the best multi-man tag match on television for maybe ever, but for years and years and years. I truly loved this. Just thought it was absolutely amazing. And
I agree.
Brian was just incredible. This was the kind of performance that just amplifies why he is the best in the company by a long way. It's just, I don't know, just the intensity and the speed he was running at to deliver drop kicks, and how he's just throwing himself into the turnbuckle and to then run across the ring and do stuff like that. And incredible. You mocked me for saying that. I sent you a message and said I've actually got the hairs of my neck standing up, and I think you were like, you tit or something like that. But
it's a bit stronger than that, but
yeah. We're a family show, I think. You're fired, so we won't go into it more. But
Jerry Lawler is definitely not a nonce.
Yeah. So yeah, I just amazing, and everyone was great here. Well, kind of. But yeah, just amazing stuff. I absolutely loved it.
I thought it was better than the Extreme Rules match between the Shield and Hell No, and I think given the extra time, like I touched on earlier, I think this really should have been the match that was at Extreme Rules. I think it would have been. Well, obviously it couldn't have been if you'd have taken the extra 2 guys out, but the main sort of ethos of the match. Is that a word? Sounds like a good word, anyway. I agree with you. Because Daniel Bryan was arguably the best we've seen him in WWE, I would say, and even if it was only like a throwaway match on Raw, but I think he proved that there's not many people better than him in the entire world.
Yeah, definitely. And the crowd were going wild, and this wasn't gonna. They weren't going to be given this time on pay-per-view. This was like a 23-minute match, I think. It was just great stuff. And loved it.
Marked out for the buckle bomb as well from Seth Rollins.
Yeah, I don't really see that in WWE.
Throw back to Tyler Black's sort of old moveset. So
yeah, very good.
There we have it.
Ipswich Dan, anything to add on it?
I watched this match probably about an hour before we were recording this, and I was thoroughly into it. I really, really enjoyed it. I was surprised that it went on for so long, but I really enjoyed the fact it did. Daniel Bryan's performance was phenomenal. As Ryan said, the intensity that he was at, but still with his babyface character and to be that intense, I thought that just showed him off so well. I was really, really into this match, and I think, going back to what Dan said, it should have probably been on the pay-per-view, and I think they should have probably done a sort of champions, like sort of 6-man tag rather than the 2 matches. Yeah, I think that they should have put this match on the pay-per-view rather than have the 2 single ones, and that would have come off so well. But yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Where do you think the Bryan weak link storyline will go? Do you think he'll turn heel, which I know Ryan wants, or do you think he'll sort of be made an outcast by Kane and then have his maybe sort of like a road to redemption storyline, which would be probably the start of an underdog babyface push, like I was talking about last week?
I think it is just the start of a push for Bryan. Hopefully, that's what I hope. I don't think, even though I've said in the past I want him to be heel, I think pushed like that and with these kind of performances, he will do very well as a babyface. So I'd like to see them stick with that, because he's proved he can do it. If he hasn't proved this to Vince and people like that they need to go with him, then nothing will, in the babyface role at least. So I'm hoping, just the underdog thing. I hope it's, because having people lose isn't always a bad thing. You have someone lose constantly on a bit of a loser streak, and people will say, well, why is he losing? And they get behind him more all the time. He's too good to lose, and that in turn gets them to get behind him. So it's not always a bad thing, and maybe that's what they're because they're saying, look, he's losing all the time, he thinks he's the weak link. Maybe that's what they're trying to do, drum up support. That's the only logical thing I can think they're doing, and hopefully this will just, maybe they may, like Heat Team Hell, they might not even split up. They might just go separate ways, maybe.
It's a good way of keeping them both faces.
And then you could push Bryan off into the World Heavyweight title scene against Ziggler as a heel, maybe. Because, I don't see Del Rio Swagger situation with Ziggler lasting much longer. It's a flop. They might have... There was even rumours that the Del Rio Ziggler match won't happen on pay-per-view. They were just going to get it out of the way because they already had plans, which I hope is the case. They'll just have it on SmackDown or Raw or something like that and get Del Rio out of the way, because he's not any good. As a challenger, at least, he's not over enough. That could bring in Bryan. I hope they wouldn't push him into the title scene too soon. Maybe have Orton go against Ziggler, maybe. And then you can bring in Bryan a few months down the line, and is it like someone who's got decisive wins on pay-per-view, and he's really start to build him. That's what I hope. Probably not what they're going to do, but a push for Bryan in the babyface role seems to be the way to go. Maybe Kane will turn. I don't think so, but you never know. I'd be surprised if they turn Kane again at this point in his career. So, yeah. Okay, moving on to the start of the show. It was opened by an ambulance being driven into the arena, which people seem to like for some reason. And then just as Ryback stepped out, his music played, which was just made me laugh because it just seemed so stupid. Ryback steps out and then a dun 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 as you get out of an ambulance just seemed pretty fucking stupid. So I enjoyed that. But yeah, then he just got on the top of the ambulance and started cutting a promo. And yeah, it was a Ryback promo. So lots of nostril flaring and not being able to deviate in the pitch he speaks at. And, just generally whatever. So yeah, I mean, anyone got any good things to say about it or anything?
I'm starting to enjoy Ryback's promos. I've got to be honest, not because they're stunningly brilliant, but I just think they're a little bit different from everybody else's promos. I think he does all right with his delivery. I know what he's saying; he's quite monotone, but I think he's quite intense, and I do enjoy hearing him speak now. It's getting to that stage where I do enjoy hearing him speak. I'm not enjoying watching him wrestle, but hearing him speak, I'm fine with that. I thought the whole ambulance sort of deal made things a little bit different. There's a decent way to start the show, a different way to start the show anyway. Yeah, and I enjoyed it for what it was.
I know, but there's different. Like, different would be having Vince coming out naked doing the windmill with his dick. I mean, different doesn't mean good. So,
Yeah, but I'm saying, I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. Start of the show.
Fair enough. I don't agree with you, but
I think the ambulance got one of the biggest pops of the night.
Yeah, that was the content of Ryback's promo. I thought was pretty bad. I mean, that's not his fault. I'm not gonna. Well, I might try and blame him for that, but it was just oh, you're all fat. Oh, you're gonna die soon. What was the quality line? I'm gonna put Cena in the ambulance for his challenge him to an ambulance match. Drive him to the morgue. And I'm going to drive all the fans with him there, or something like that. He's going to take all the fans to the morgue, which I don't know where to start. But I think if he keeps doing stuff like that, I might like it in a so bad it's funny kind of way.
Exactly.
But not for the right reasons. But and so Ryback came out later when Cody Rhodes had beat Zack Ryder in a match. And Michael Cole called him the Beast Incarnate, which Lesnar has been referred to for ages. And like about half an hour earlier, I think Heyman had referred to him as that. And then Heyman calls Michael Cole calls Ryback that. I thought that was just pathetic. I don't know what that was about. How can you? He'll be like, I don't know, calling John Cena the Brahma Bull next or something like that. I don't know, but just stupid. Okay, so moving on. Randy Orton beat Jack Swagger in a pretty good match. Swagger just continues to amaze me how much of an idiot he is. He managed to botch the ankle lock a couple of times. He had grabbed his wrong leg and he can't apply it on the other leg because he kept slipping and he dropped his foot at one point. I mean, he doesn't seem to understand. Like Davey Richards on the Indies, he'll use it on both feet, but he'll change his grip so that he'll be doing it with the other like the hands will be reversed on the opposite foot. But Jack Swagger doesn't understand that because he's a fucking high idiot. So that just annoyed me. Did you guys enjoy that match anyway?
I enjoyed the vote for the match. I thought that was ridiculous. Great Khali R-Truth or Randy Orton. What's the point in even having that?
Yeah, I liked your tweet about that.
That was quite good.
Do you want to regale us with it for those who didn't see it?
I can't. What did I say? It's similar to saying, would you like A, a broken nose, B, a punt to the bollocks, or C, endless blowjobs?
Yeah, I think that was a good analogy.
That sums it up completely.
Yeah.
It's completely... I know the reason they wanted it was probably to get record traffic for their app, but still, they could have used the vote for... I don't know if they could have used the vote for anything else, but yeah, it's just all a little bit silly.
Yeah. It doesn't make any sense. It's kind of... If anyone has the illusion that we're making a difference with our votes. It's kind of like, oh, come on. They're just giving you who they want to put in the match, and then they're just two other people.
I would like to know what made people think, oh, I must vote for Randy Orton. There's a chance he might not win without my vote.
There's got to be. I'm hoping that someone, like somewhere, is going to start something. Maybe I can start it now and said everyone to just vote for the person that WWE wants the least to be in that match, just to throw them all off. So they'll come up 100% Great Khali or something like that. It would be amazing. Okay, next up, probably going to get angry again. Big E beat Del Rio.
He did, the night after Del Rio became the number one contender to the world title.
Del Rio hasn't really jobbed to anyone. Swagger occasionally on TV, just when he had to. But then this untalented piece of shit, Big E, comes in, and they can't have him beat their top Hispanic star quick enough. Even though it weren't completely clean, he just poked him in the eye and then, I don't know, did some shit to him. Or whatever he does. Just pathetic. I can't believe they like this guy. He is just atrocious. No personality either, and unbelievable. And it was a shit match because it's fucking Big E.
I think we need to start a Ryan Palmer pathetic counter because I think that is probably your most said word on the Danger Zone.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty shit anyway. So anyway, also we had Chris Jericho and The Miz facing off against Fandango and Wade Barrett. Barrett had new music, which I thought was terrible, and it started off with like "God Save the Queen" by like a little girl or something, and then they seem to nick how Tommaso Ciampa's new theme music is for Ring of Honor, where it's like dink. Dunk. It sounds a bit like 24, and it goes. The Titantron goes. There's a picture, and then it goes black, and then picture black. So that seemed lifted from that. And debuted it a little while ago. So yeah, terrible music as well. So I don't know what they were thinking. His music was pretty good to begin with.
I liked the music. I did. Don't know if it's just me, but I thought it fit him quite well.
I felt quite awkward watching it when he was coming out to it. I just didn't. I don't think. Well, I liked it, but. I don't think it fits Barrett too well. Yeah. Pretty badass, the music.
I think he came out too early.
Definitely.
Part in the music where the little dinks, like Ryan is talking about, where there's a break, and it would be perfect if he came just after like the next note came in. But he just walked out whenever he fancied it.
Yeah.
But, I like the Rule Britannia in that. Come on.
Yeah, but I mean, Barrett doesn't really need to be associated with England in kind of a character sense anymore, and it seems like they're going back to that now. I mean, so it seems like a step back more than anything.
Has he ever really been associated with England that much?
Well, they say he's been in fights, backstreet people, backstreet brawler, and I don't know, fighting for money on the streets, on the rough streets of insert English city here or whatever. There's this new guy debut on NXT. I forget his name, and he was from England, and they said, oh yeah, he grew up fighting on the streets. It's like everyone. It's what they do. It's pathetic.
That's always do it.
Yeah. Anyway, Jericho and The Miz won this match when Fandango just started dancing with Summer Rae. Fair enough. And Miz, who is pathetic. I'll give you that one.
There's another
one. He applied his figure 4 and just shit. Anyway, that'll do it. I'm tired of talking. That was Ryan's raw shit, and actually, we'll just say this was I battered it in a few places. This was a pretty good Raw. I have to admit.
Best Raw for a long while.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff. Even like some of the decisions. I mean, the main event was a bit shit. I didn't appreciate that, but the rest of it's all right. I mean, if we get that kind of quality every week, you can't have much to complain about in a 3-hour Raw, which is, got to be pretty hard to get all that content in there. So, props to WWE for that. It's just, little things I'm having a go at. Anyway.
I enjoyed Raw. Sorry, final point. I enjoyed Raw more than I did the pay-per-view.
Definitely agree with that, yeah.
Ryan Palmer's Raw shit, this is Ryan Palmer's Raw shit, this is Ryan Palmer's Raw shit, this is Ryan Palmer's Raw shit, Ryan Palmer's Raw shit.
have it on good authority that the people want news and they want it now.
Ipswich Dan.
Does some news.
Ipswich Dan.
Does some news.
Ipswich Dan.
Does some news. It's time to hear from
Ipswich Dan. Right, and this week we start with Brock Lesnar, and following his win over Triple.
Oh, sorry about that. I tried really hard not to interrupt as well.
You sick bastard.
Every week. But as always, I'll continue. And with Brock Lesnar, following his win over Triple H at Extreme Rules, Paul Heyman mentioned on Raw that he has now fulfilled his WWE obligations and he will now be enjoying his time off. Now, the plan is, obviously, as expected, Lesnar will take a few months off and should be back in time to set up a build for a match at SummerSlam. There's talk that he will return to begin a feud with either The Rock or The Undertaker.
Yeah, I reckon Sable's in for a good time in the next few months.
With Lesnar, I wish they'd like put off all his dates and then just keep him around like pretty much full time up till like the build to WrestleMania or something like that. Because I think it'd be more effective. But yeah, that's what I think.
I think the stop-start has been a bit, well, it hasn't come off too well really the past couple of years, but
yeah, no. Especially when all of it has been focused around one feud.
Yeah.
Apart from the first sort of 2 or 3 appearances.
Right, and next, WWE plans to have locations for both WrestleMania 31 and 32 set in August, and they plan on revealing the host cities around that sort of time. The only city at the moment which has been mentioned in accordance with bids is Detroit, and it's believed the Ford Field, which hosted WrestleMania 23, will be the city if either 31 or 32 does return to Detroit. Right, and next, WWE Hall of Famer Sunny has been released from prison in Connecticut. The Hall of Famer was jailed for 4 months after troubles with her boyfriend Damian Darling. She was arrested 6 times in a 4-month period, and now says she is moving to New Mexico for a fresh start. Going on to TNA, and Jane Storm posted the following on Twitter recently. Just so everyone knows, Doc said I have a slight tear in my right abdominal, and an adductor strain, groin pull, 6 to 8 weeks, busting ass to get back. And if that is true, it would be a problem for TNA's plans at Slammiversary. Storm and a mystery opponent are scheduled to face Rude and Aries, Bad Influence, and champions Chavo Guerrero and Hernandez in a tag team title match. So,
I wonder if that's Doc from Aces and Eights or a doctor.
Who knows? And finally, British wrestling legend Mick McManus has sadly passed away aged 93. McManus was famous for his lengthy run on ITV's World of Sport in the 60s and 70s, in which millions watched the 40-minute wrestling show regularly on Saturday afternoons. McManus would have a famous feud with Jackie Pallo, in which they had numerous famous TV British wrestling matches. So some sad news to end on there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that is sad. He's one of, obviously I haven't seen him firsthand, but from what I understand, he's one of the British greats. So it's sad.
Him and Giant Haystacks are like legends and always get mentioned when wrestling gets mentioned around in these ways.
And Big Daddy. We're all about Big Daddy in England.
Yeah.
Everyone looks like that in England.
Right, and that is this week's news. Ipswich Dan's.
Done the news.
Ipswich Dan's.
Done the news.
Ipswich Dan's.
Done the news. It's time to say bye-bye to
Ipswich Dan.
Thank you for joining us this week on the podcast. As always, make sure you subscribe to us on iTunes and YouTube, and make sure you tell all your wrestling friends to as well. Follow us on Twitter at DZ Podcast, where you'll find some live tweeting of all the week's upcoming wrestling events as they air in the UK. Once again, thank you for joining us, and until next week, you've been in the Danger Zone.
I've been in the Danger Zone.
The Danger Zone Wrestling Podcast is brought to you by Sunny'sDelights.com. Autograph £5, photo £10, rim job £20.